Hey everyone, Jacob Paulson here with a review of the Honor Defense Honor Guard. Now the Honor Guard's been around for a couple of years now, since I think they started shipping in 2016, so relatively new gun to the marketplace. You may not have heard of them, and that's okay. There's some really cool things about this gun. I'm pretty excited to talk to you about it. I've just put it through the ringer. I've put a lot of ammo through this gun, and frankly, me and the Honor Guard had a rough history. We had a rough start, but we've come a long way, and I'm pretty excited about this gun and kind of sharing it with you today. So let's start with some of the kind of core important things about the company and the gun, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about my rough history with this gun, and then we'll get into some of the more nitty and gritty things. So first and foremost, talk about rough history. So I first heard of the Honor Guard when I saw a couple different websites doing reviews and saying that they had discovered another gun that was not drop safe, that when dropped or if you smacked in the back with a good mallet, it would discharge. And so that's the first thing I ever heard about an Honor Guard. That was my introduction to the weapons platform. Well, that's obviously a relatively concerning thing, the idea that a gun may not be drop safe. Naturally, none of us should be dropping guns as it were anyway. You know, guns are not safe when we don't use them properly and when we don't follow proper safety protocols. But that said, I immediately went out and bought one. I've had to call a lot of different dealers around town to find one that had one in stock, which I'd say quickly is probably one of the drawbacks of this gun is because it is relatively new, it's harder to find. So you might have to go into your dealer and request that they order it for you, or you might have to call around several dealers in town before you find one. But of course, you can always go on gunbroker.com, or you can go right to Honor Defense's website and you can order directly from them. Anyway, so got the gun, and my friend Riley and I, we went and took it to the range, and we dropped this poor sucker against concrete, I don't know, 20, 30 times. And I think it was on test number 20 or 22 or something like that, we finally did get it when it hit just at the right angle to discharge. And so we were able to confirm the previous reports that the Honor Guard was not drop safe when dropped at just the right angle at the right time. Now that certainly is something that some people are concerned about, and I think it's a valid thing to be concerned about. And Honor Defense, after they kind of caught wind of this and figured out what was going on, and a lot of reviews started to be made about that issue, they were on it. They were watching it like a hawk. They were testing it. They had some new engineers come in, and they were able to resolve that issue. And they did what they called a voluntary upgrade, meaning that if you chose, you could send in your gun to have the upgrade done. But my gun not only needed that upgrade, that voluntary upgrade, but because it also had just been through the ringer in terms of hitting concrete repeatedly and being hit with a hammer, it was really pretty rough for the wearer. So I sent this back to Honor Defense and had them do some repairs on it. They not only cleaned up some of the things that I kind of cracked and bent, but they also did a really nice Cerakote job for me. They replaced the back strap and some other things that had been damaged with all the falling on concrete, and they really did right by me, and they really took care of me in that regard. I was very happy with the servicing from Honor Defense. So now I have a really pretty gun. It looks really nice. It's got American flag Cerakote job done here on the slide. Very happy with the gun. Now, let's talk a little bit about the gun. Well, before I do that, in case you're wondering, I have put in here the barrel block. I like the barrel block. It's a good product, just an easy way for you to visually see and for me to visually see that this gun is inert. It's been rendered unable to fire, and it's safe. So we can do this review video and not have to worry about anything. So thank you, Barrel Block, for making such a great product. So let's talk more about Honor Defense. Now, Honor Defense is a good company. They are an American business. They are based out of Georgia. Small business, probably about the same size as my company, in fact. And good people down there. I've had several conversations with Gary, who's the founder and president over there at Honor Defense. And he's a good man. So they are really proud of the fact that they make a 100% American-made gun. And what they mean by that is that this gun was designed in America, it's manufactured in America, and all the parts are sourced from America. So, even some guns out there that claim to be sourced from America, some of their parts are being sourced from a company that may have an office in the U.S., but they're actually bringing that part in from overseas. And, one of the things that Gary really is proud of is that the Honor Guard from Honor Defense is 100% sourced from America. So every part, even if it is outsourced from a third party, it comes from the U.S. It is not coming across the ocean, and that's a real big deal and something to be proud of. So I'm holding in my hands, obviously, a gun that has the American flag Cerakote painted right on the gun, but it's also a gun that was 100% designed, manufactured, and sourced from supplies here in the U.S. So that's kind of a big deal, kind of something to be proud of. So Gainesville, Georgia, thank you, America. Now this gun does come in a couple different varieties. It has a couple different barrel lengths. The longer barrel length, which is what I have, does have a Picatinny rail on it, which is really nice. They also have what they call the fist model. And the fist model kind of basically takes the frame of the gun that comes out, extends beyond in front of the barrel. And it does that so that you can have contact shots. As you may know, a lot of semi-automatic guns, if you press the gun up against your target, what can happen is your slide can come back rear a little bit, and that throws the gun out of battery, and it won't fire. Your trigger goes dead. And the second you come out, back into battery, then you can fire. So that's a nice thing that they have. If you're interested in that, you can get the FIST version. So the Honor Guard's available in a couple different versions. Also, they love styling. This is a company that makes guns that come in lots of colors. So if you want it in lime green, you can get that. If you want it in black and blue, like you name it, go to their website and you can get the Honor Guard in a variety of different colors and motifs and things like that. So that's something that they're very proud of, and they have a lot of options. So they may not have a very deep product line as far as guns go. You have the Honor Guard, and the Honor Guard comes in a couple different variations. For example, you can also get it optionally with a ambidextrous manual safety or without. My version, the model I have, does not have a safety. And so anyway, a couple options, but for the most part, the Honor Guard is the Honor Guard, and that's what you can get from Honor Defense for now. So another cool thing that they really like about this gun, it comes with a lot of bells and whistles kind of features that I would call not normal for the price point. We're talking about a gun here. I think retail, I don't know what the MSRP is, but I've seen these in gun stores for as low as $410, $425, as high as like $475. So this is a sub $500 gun, and you get a lot for $500. For one, you get a really nice crisp sight radius. They're not night sights, but they are really nice sights. You have an orange dot on the front, so it's really easy to pick up behind, in the rear notch when you're trying to gain that front sight. Easy to focus on, really nice, good sights. They're also angled so as to prevent any potential snag on a holster. So they're kind of angled in such a way that when you're drawn out of a holster, this really shouldn't snag. It should slide real well. So you shouldn't have any issue with snagging on sights. Gun comes with front and top serrations. So you have serrations all across the top of and the sides of the slide in the rear and on the front. So you have serrations around the front and top all around here. So that's a really nice feature. I like that because I don't know, I'm just very flexible. Sometimes I'll rack my slide from the rear. Sometimes I'll do it from the front. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. That's just the way I roll. But if you already have muscle memory built for one or the other, you're going to be in good shape because it's got a lot of serrations on here. Also, you have ambidextrous mag release, which is something I really like. Ambidextrous everything, frankly. I am right-handed, so I am part of that 90%. But I do know southpaw shooters, and when I have a southpaw that's a student, one of my classes, it's a pain in the neck. It's a pain in the neck to say, oh, why don't you try this other gun? And they pick it up and say, oh, well, I like this other gun, but can we switch the mag release over to the left side or over to the right side for a left-handed shooter? And it's just a lot of those little things that are really nice with ambidextrous guns. So I really appreciate that the mag release is ambidextrous, as is the slide stop. So you don't need to get out any armory tools. You don't need to buy anything. If you're a southpaw, you're going to do really well with the Honor Guard. If you get the optional safety as well, if you buy a model that comes with safety, it's also ambidextrous. So for you southpaws out there, Honor Guard's a great gun to shoot. Another nice thing with the Honor Guard is it's really designed so that you don't have to press the trigger for takedown. We know that on Glocks, that's something you have to do is you have to press the trigger in order to take down. It's not a big deal to me. That doesn't bother me. But for some people, it is a big deal. And if you're one of those people, that's something you don't have to worry about with the Honor Guard. So takedown is, I would call it very similar like a P320 style. A lot of the internal things, in fact, remind me of SIG P320. But you just lock the slide back and you just take down this takedown lever like so. And then you're good to go. You can field strip the gun. So there's obviously the frame, trigger assembly, etc. Here's our spring and our barrel. So there you go. Simple and easy takedown. Pretty straightforward. Not a big deal there. And we'll go ahead and put our gun back together here real quick. And this gun's really dirty right now. You might notice in the video. I've put now, my goodness, 450 rounds through this gun. Since I got it back after the voluntary upgrade. So yeah, this gun's a little dirty. Okay, there we go. So that's the takedown. So that's what you get there. Now the gun, what does it come with? It comes with 2 mags, an 8-rounder and a 7-rounder. Very kind of comparable in my mind to like a M&P Shield. In fact, a lot of the things about this gun do remind me of an M&P Shield as well. The shape, the contour in the hand, the size of the gun, the bore axis to the grip, the mags, all of that feels very similar to me to an M&P Shield. You know, the fact that you kind of have the 8-round mag with the extension and the 7-round mag without, that might remind you a little bit of a Shield. So if you're a Shield person, you know, it's a little bit comparable. For me, I can certainly get my hand on the gun without the extension, but it certainly doesn't feel as good. I definitely would prefer shooting with that extended mag. You might be a person who likes to carry a gun like so, because it's a little bit more concealable, and then maybe you carry a spare mag with the 8-round mag. So if you ever have to do a mag exchange, you're good to go, and then you have a little bit more ammo that you're carrying, but it's a little bit more concealable without that lip, without that extension. So whatever you prefer there. So it comes with both those mags, and getting additional mags I found very easy to find online, and you can order those. It's not a big deal. All right, so those are some of the other pluses of this gun. I think that the gun shoots really clean. As far as being accurate out of the box, I had really good success with this gun. Shot really well. Before the voluntary upgrade, we put 200 rounds through it. Shot really well. Did well. Bullets went where we wanted them to go. Sights are clean, shoots real well, easy to keep the gun flat. Feels pretty good in the hand. Does come with 2 different back straps. I prefer the stock, the one that comes with the gun. It just feels pretty good. But there's an additional back strap. It's not here in the box. I don't know what I've done with it. But there's an additional back strap if you want to swap that out. Some other things about this gun. As far as reliability goes, since getting it back, as I mentioned, I've put a lot of ammo through this. I've put, I think, 450 rounds total through this gun since getting it back without cleaning it. It's very dirty. I just got back from the range a few minutes ago. And at first, I had some concerns because I was having some bad primer strikes, some light primer strikes. The first 50 rounds I put through the gun were with some Fiocchi ammo, and I had four out of the 50 rounds with light primer strikes, and I thought, oh, this is not good, that can't be good. So I went back to the range with some different ammo. I took some Winchester white box, and I put another 50 rounds through, and in those 50 rounds I had 1 light primer strike. The next 50 rounds of white box, I had 1 light primer strike, and I thought, well, this is better than the Fiocchi, but maybe the gun just needs to be broken in. And sometimes what happens, I think this has a lot to do with the Cerakoting, because this gun was Cerakoted. I think that might have caused some issues. Sometimes when a gun gets painted, you get a little bit of paint somewhere where it shouldn't go. Maybe it goes right where the firing pin, the plunger is, and that just gets a little bit stuck. Or maybe something that's writing that just shouldn't be writing because where the paint might have gone. So there might have been a break-in issue, because after those first 150 rounds, 4 light primer strikes in the first 50, and then 1 in the next 50, and 1 more in the next 50. After that, I put an additional 100 rounds of white box in it, another 50 rounds of Fiocchi, and then another 50 rounds of Sig Sauer Elite Performance ammo. All of that malfunction free. So the last 200 rounds that went through this gun, no malfunctions. So I think there's just a bit of a break-in period there. And for you guys out there who buy this gun, you might find you just need to get some ammo through it. You might need to break it in. I think, like I said, especially that's probably true if you have the Cerakoted slide, because the original gun that I got before we did the drop testing, I didn't have any light primer strikes. I didn't have any of those issues. And I thought, well, maybe something they did in the upgrade caused that. But now that I've been 200 rounds to this gun without a single malfunction, and it's dirtier than before, I'm inclined to say, no, I think it was just a break-in issue. And I think most people would agree that if you have, if you go from 4 out of 50 to 1 out of 50 to 0 out of 200, clearly just had some sort of break-in issue or some sort of issue that you had to deal with. So I'm inclined to call this gun very reliable based on my experience at this point. 2 thumbs up from me. We've had, on my end, certainly with testing with the Mala, and other people who have done the upgrade have tested. There's also no more concerns about the drop testing. The gun seems to be perfectly safe, no issues there. So I think you can feel very comfortable about this gun both being safe and being reliable with any kind of ammunition you put through it. Though if that's not your experience at first, like I said, just keep pushing through it, and you might just need to break in the gun a little bit. But I will say this, having dealt with doing a warranty claim on this gun, and one that I caused the damage myself, dropping it on concrete. It's a small company. They're going to take care of their customers, good people, and I think that you wouldn't have any issue should you need to do some sort of warranty claim or have anyone look at the gun. So I think you're good there. Okay, so some things I think that could be improved about this gun, and certainly I'll add before anyone gets too sensitive about this. I've never found a gun that was perfect. I've yet to find a gun, carry a gun, own a gun that I wouldn't change anything on. So that's also true of this gun. There are some things on here I would change. Unfortunately, the constraints of manufacturing and designing a gun are such that you can't make a gun perfect, right? A perfect gun would be really small. It would hold tons of ammo. It'd be really easy to handle. You know, it would have all the other little bells and whistles that make a gun awesome. That gun can't be made. So I think we just got to understand there's some constraints when you build a gun, when you design a gun, you got to make some decisions about, you know, what you're going to focus on, what you're going to do, and some other things that some people might want in a gun, you might lose because of that. And it also is a factor of price point. You know, we're talking about a sub $500 gun. There's only so much they can do on this gun and keep it at that price point without having to make it more expensive. With that said, a couple thoughts. Like I said, first and foremost, I do think it's young for this gun in terms of distribution. It's a little harder to find. If your person likes to buy local at your local gun shop, you're probably going to have to go down there and ask them to order one for you. And not the kind of thing that they probably have in stock at this point. But I would encourage you to do that, because the more people who are asking them to stock this gun, the more likely they are to order it and stock it. Another thing that I would talk about is the slide stop. I don't like the slide stop. Maybe it's just me. I think it's a personal preference kind of thing. I like the stock standard slide stop that comes on all my Glocks, all my SIGs, all my Smith & Wessons, my FN. You know, all of those, I like the slide stops just fine. But this one that comes on the Honor Guard, I hate it. I like that it's ambidextrous, but there's just not enough there for me to get my hand on. So if I'm doing a reload, for example, if I'm in slide lock back, right, and I'm going to do a reload, I drop this guy and throw it in. I can't disengage that slide lock in order to let the slide forward. I got to ride it with my hand. I got to come in here and push it forward at the same time. So that's one thing for me. It's not a big deal. I mean, there's not that many situations when you operate a gun that you have to be able to operate the slide lock, but certainly there are some. Now, I do not have an issue pushing it up. So if I need to lock the slide back, I can certainly do that. I can just grab the slide, push back, push up with the slide lock, and that's no problem. So I can do that. But on a reload, when I drop this mag in, and I want to release the slide forward, there's just not enough there for me to get my finger on it. So that would be one thought. You know, I think if there was a Generation 2 Honor Guard, that would be one thing I would suggest, is just a little bit more of a meaty slide stop, slide release, so I can get in there and I can get my finger on something to release it forward. The next thing would be the trigger. Now, on the website, they talk a lot about the trigger being really nice and things like that. You know, what I do like is that the take-up and the travel of the trigger is very smooth. You know, you get some triggers that are very grainy, or there's just, you know, such a big transition from that initial take-up to kind of a tough wall you got to push your way through. This trigger is very smooth. Certainly, when I operate the trigger, it does just press through pretty smooth. There's no real noticeable, you know, issues that you run into. It's very smooth. That said, my biggest issue with this trigger is the reset. The reset is pretty long. So just to kind of get, you know, try and illustrate this for you, when I press the trigger and then I reset the gun and then I go to release the trigger out for reset, there's a bit of travel there, still traveling, still traveling, still traveling, still traveling, still going, reset. And I can hear it and I can see it at the same time. And then I can press again, and then reset, travel, 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 reset. Now, I will say this. I think that any trigger like this, you can get used to. I mean, unless you're some crazy Rob Latham, you know, competitive shooter, a really long reset like that shouldn't be a real big issue. It shouldn't slow down average defensive shooting once you're used to it, right? Once you're used to it. Because you're going to have to train with this gun. You have to get used to where that reset is, and you should be able to operate it pretty fast. That's not the worst reset I've seen by any means. I've seen a lot that, I mean, you have to release that thing almost all the way out to the front of the trigger guard. But compared to my normal daily carry guns I've been using for years, my Glocks, most of my SIGs, you know, my M&P, especially the M&P 2.0, those have an upgraded trigger. This one is long. And when I was shooting this gun, I found I was short stroking the trigger a lot when I would go into a rapid fire, meaning that when I came up on target and I was shooting as fast as I could, I would constantly short stroke that trigger. I just wouldn't let it reset, and I'd be trying to pull it again. I'm like, oh, I have a malfunction. And I stop, I'm like, nope, I just need to let the trigger out the rest of the way and reset it properly. So for me, it would take some work to get used to shooting this gun quickly, but I think once you get used to shooting your gun, the fact that the reset's a little bit longer shouldn't be a big deal, shouldn't be a deal breaker. But if I was going to give some feedback to Honor Defense, that would be my number 2 thing. So slide stop, I'd make that a little bit beefier. And 2, if there's any way to shorten the reset on this trigger so I can shoot it faster and just kind of make it feel similar to some of those other guns, that would be good for me personally. So those are some things I would like to see improved on the Honor Guard, but all around very happy with the gun. Anyway, those are some considerations for the Honor Guard. I think you'll be very happy with this gun all around. I would recommend it. And if it feels good in your hands and it shoots well for you, it's a good gun to carry.